Welcome back tuning in this morning's video. Well, it's Monday on GavsWeatherVids.com, which can mean only one thing. Yep, it's Europe Day every Monday at GavsWeatherVids. I'll have a look at the weather for the coming week across the European continent, and this Monday is no different. We're going to have a look at weather for the week here across Europe. Before I get on with the video, I just want to talk about the advertising. There's keyword ads on many of my pages at GavsWeatherVids.com. They're green links on the keywords. If you run your cursor over those words, they'll display ads. But if you click through the words, then you'll be supporting GavsWeatherVids.com. And thank you very much for doing that. Also want to mention the website that I'm using for the video. It's weathercentral.de, fantastic German website, and you can find it on my links page. So let's just start off with Monday first of all, with today's weather. And well, two distinct areas of high pressure, one up over Russia, stretching into, or tries to stretch into Scandinavia, and one ridging in from the Azores, trying to building towards Britain and France. In between, we've got very slack pressure producing quite a few showers. Have a look at the upper air temperatures today. We see it's a pretty cool scene across much of Central and Western Europe, British Isles, Ireland, down in towards Germany, the Low Countries through France. Really quite cool temperatures indeed for the time of year. That cool air actually extends down into the central Mediterranean. These upper air temperatures through the Mediterranean, much cooler than you would expect at the end of June, away from southern parts of Spain, where heat is beginning to build up from North Africa. We have got some heat coming in there into southern and central parts of Spain and Portugal, but really much of the bed is actually quite cool until you get to the east through Greece and Turkey, and then that heat from Greece and Turkey extends up through the eastern side of Europe, and some of it is still left from last week across Scandinavia as well. Have a look at the convective potential today. The convection really is in the east, much of east of Europe having a risk of thunderstorms, not so much going on in central and western parts. In terms of precipitation, well, there could be some showers today across parts of Germany, down in towards eastern France as well. Quite a few heavy showers, maybe, and some longer spells of rain up across Scandinavia, particularly for Norway. And then, of course, in the east, we've got those risk of really heavy thunderstorms for eastern parts of Europe, down into the southeast as well, and stretching up in towards western parts of Russia. Much of the Mediterranean is actually dry, though it's quite chilly. It is dry from Corsica and Sardinia eastwards through, westwards I should say, through into the Balearic Islands, and on in Spain and Portugal. Mainly dry weather there. Have a look at the temperatures today. Well, it's quite a cool scene across many central and western parts of Europe. We've definitely lost the heat that we had last week. Temperatures down just into the upper teens or low 20s, really, from Germany back towards France, into the British Isles, through Ireland as well, and up in towards the Low Countries and Denmark also. The heat is on in the east. It's really down in the southeast through Greece and Turkey. We've got risk of those thunderstorms, but extending up the eastern side of Europe. That's where the heat will be through the course of today. Now, as we move through into the middle of the week, that area of high pressure from the Azores is moving through the Atlantic into the British Isles and trying to send a ridge up towards Scandinavia. For southern parts of Scandinavia though, we're under low pressure, and that low pressure does extend down, or I should say weak pressure extends down still through central parts of Europe. The upper air temperature showing that the heat is really on through parts of Russia and interestingly pushing in towards Finland, and maybe getting through in towards parts of Sweden and maybe Norway as well. That heat is being drawn in around that area of low pressure, but sitting in the Baltic, drawing the heat out of Russia. Quite an interesting little feature that. But for much of Europe, the continent is actually quite cool through to the middle of the week, with the upper air temperatures still cool. Upper air temperatures much of Britain, Low Countries, Germany and France as well. Even cool still through much of the Mediterranean. The heat's still there down across southern central parts of Spain and Portugal, and still in the southeast well. But many of these central areas of the Mediterranean are actually cooler in the upper air than you would expect. Looking at convective potential that we've got going on in towards Russia through the middle of the week, and then it does extend through in towards Finland, Latvia, those sort of countries. Yeah, the convective potential is extended through with that low pressure member sitting in the Baltic. Not too much convective potential elsewhere, although we have got some around Italy, Corsica and Sardinia, and stretching through the Adriatic. But for many central western areas, actually not much convective potential through the middle of the week. Very very wet scene across much of Scandinavia associated with that low pressure sitting in the Baltic. That's where the storm risk is going to be, I think, through the middle of the week, particularly focused around southern parts of Sweden, possibly up in towards Finland and Latvia as well. For Norway, maybe not quite so much going on there. The central parts of Europe, the showers will be lighter, not quite so thundery as we saw. There isn't much convective potential through those central parts of Europe. Around Italy, through the Adriatic, I think we could see some thunderstorms, and over the Alps, of course, there's likely to be thunderstorms as well. Temperatures through the middle of the week, where you can't really see it, but the heat is being drawn out of western Russia in towards Scandinavia. So that's where the warmth is going to be through the middle of the week. But really, for much of the continent, it's still quite a cool scene with temperatures well below where they should be. But begin to warm up a little bit through southern parts of England and down in towards France as well. But much of the continent actually still quite cool through the middle of the week. On in towards the end of the week, and this is the chart for Friday, we see low pressure still sitting around Scandinavia, high pressure still trying to ridge in from the Atlantic in towards central and western parts of Europe. So we see temperatures in the upper atmosphere lowering off across Scandinavia through to the end of the week. The heat is being pushed further back in towards western parts of Russia. Much of the continent still actually rather cool in terms of the upper air temperatures at the end of the week. The heat, again, really restricted to central and southern parts of Spain and Portugal, and on in towards the southeast of the Mediterranean as well. Convective potential at the end of the week, where we will have some convective potential there through parts of Italy, around Corsica and Sardinia again. There could be some convective potential, some thunderstorms through the Adriatic, and then generally stretching up the eastern side of Europe, a great risk of thunderstorms. Central western areas of Europe again not having too many thunderstorms with that high pressure sitting to the west. So for the precipitation, we see that we've got risk of heavy thunderstorms here in the east and the southeast through Italy, Corsica, Sardinia. That's where thunderstorms could be. May have a more general area of rain stretching from Scandinavia down in towards Germany, possibly back in through the Low Countries in towards France. Still mainly dry though for southern parts of France and Spain and Portugal, getting dry weather, and the British Isles not seeing too much in the way of rain either. The temperatures at the end of the week, well, they're lifting up a little bit, but they're still pretty cool, really, somewhere from around 15 to, say, 25 degrees. So, it looks like we're going to see a much quieter week this week across many parts of the continent. We're not going to have the torrential thunderstorms and the heat that we had last week. Generally, a much quieter week. The main thunderstorm activity, I think, is going to be focused around western parts of Russia and through in towards the Baltic and some parts of Scandinavia. That's where the main focus for storms is going to be this week. But really not a lot going on, you have to say, this week across the continent. Temperatures much, much lower, much cooler, and less in the way of convection as well. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.